Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you can click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Here we go, folks. Kicking off the Tinker Day. Somebody actually wants me to take my car apart and test some corner light sockets. That's a big no-no. You don't take old cars apart to test other parts. It's just not good. I mean, unless you're doing it for yourself, not for a couple bucks. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do it. It's just a corner light. So I'm going to test. I think I got 6 of them, maybe 5 of them. A couple people need them. I've seen those things sell as high as 30 bucks a pop. So I'll put them on the website here. But let me go ahead and test this so I can get to work on these parking brakes. On this V70R. 99 model. Breaking my own rule. Testing parts on my own car. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these things. I already had a mishap. One of them had a bulb in it. Slipped out of my hand. Dropped. Broke the bulb on the ground. So now I got glass to clean up. Anyway, I sprung this loose. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. Make sure it works. And then I'm going to test these things one at a time and go tell this gentleman if this thing's work or not. If he wants to buy them. I've seen these things sell as high as 30 bucks a pop. Used. They're no longer available through Volvo. Little corrosion on the connector, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get them tested and get Panther back together so I can move on. 3 of them worked, 2 of them did not. So I had to clean the contacts off of a couple of them, scrape some corrosion off of there. Then I took the bulb, ran it in and out of the socket 10-15 times, wiggling it around so that the contacts on the bulb would scrape away corrosion on the contacts in the socket. So they're relatively easy to get working. Just clean some of this corrosion out of them, as long as you don't break these ends on here that clip them and lock them into place. So I have 5 working. In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the light bulb in this corner light. The light has a parking light feature and a hazard light flashing turn signal feature. So it's a 2-element bulb here in the US. Real easy to do. You just got to release a spring clip. The light assembly will fall away from the car. You unhook the bulb housing, then you twist the bulb out, put the replacement bulb in, clip the light socket back into the light housing, and then reattach the light assembly. So if you open the hood, you look down here, you'll see that little round spring there. You gotta pull that spring towards the back of the car and push it down, and it will unhook from the back of the headlight housing. You can see it in there. It's got a little hook on it. You pull that spring toward the back of the car, lower it a little bit, and the light will fall away from the car. Once you get the spring loose, you can pull the light out and it should stay connected to the harness. Once the light assembly is pulled away from the corner of the car, you do not have to unplug the harness from the socket part of the light. However, you need to push on this tab that's sticking out, push it up if the light was in its proper orientation, push it up just a little bit so that the 2 clips could unclip from the rest of the housing, and then pull it away from the housing and you will have access to the bulb. The top of it has a little tab. The bottom of it has these 2 little securing clips. And then you take the bulb, turn it just a little bit, push it in counterclockwise, pull it out. Check, make sure you don't have a bunch of corrosion buildup in here. If you do, you might want to scrape that stuff out. Make sure you have a gasket here that seals it, keeps the water out of it. And you go in with the replacement bulb. It really only goes in one way. You push it in, turn it a little bit clockwise, it'll lock in. Once the bulb is locked in, you make sure you got a gasket either there or here. You take this tip here, you put it in the light housing there, and you carefully push this down until it clips in back there. I had to push on this and make sure those 2 feet locked in. Now I'm ready to put this back in the fender corner area of the car. You got a little guide here that the top piece right there guides into, and you got a guide there where this guide slides down in there. The light harness comes up here and it'll fit back in that pocket of the front clip. So you go ahead and plug it in. You could use dielectric grease if you like. Looks like I have some on there. Prevents corrosion. It is keyed, so it only goes in one way, so you get the correct lights flashing and on when it's plugged in. Once it's plugged in, you gotta feed that spring back into here. If you look here, this spring clips into the back of the headlight. This is the headlight housing. It's got a little V clip there. This spring here clips into that. So you got to slide it back into there. I normally take the spring under it and then pull it up over it once I'm inside. So I push the light in, trying to get the spring down, making sure my guide goes in up top there. Guide goes in the bottom, so the light sits correct. You can see the spring down there. I come on the inside with a very long screwdriver or long needle nose pliers, and I pull that spring out and hook it around that V on the back of the headlight that I showed you. As you can see down there, the spring is hooked on that V and the light is now in place. You can also reach your hand back behind that stuff and hook it on there if you like. You just gotta have the feel for it, know what you're doing. You're good to go. Go ahead and call that one done. Got that tested and done. Found a couple things that I didn't finish up on my radiator install, like clip that vacuum hose in there and there. So get that taken care of and get ready to work on these brakes. I also seen a little, look like vacuum tube or cap on top of my headlight. Oh my, look what I got here. I never re-put my stuff back from when I checked my brake error code when I parked the car to do the rear suspension. I seen this side of the hood up and I just pushed it closed last night and went on about my business. Let me put this away, man. I'm getting old. Gotta remember stuff. Let me grab my glasses before I forget them. Looky here. I have received a OBD2 scan tool to review. Let's check it out. See what it does on Byron's car. We know Byron's got some errors. Let's look over these instructions, hook it up, see what it finds about his ETM and his ABS light. Those are the two things that's plaguing this car right now. This is the 99 Volvo V70R, the first year of Volvo's, I think it's called a CAN network bus system. And these cars are a little bit harder to diagnose because of that. So I tell people you need this special Volvo tool to find the errors, reset things, and just troubleshoot these cars in general. So I'm gonna check this out, hook it up, see what it finds out about this car's issues. I guess this would be considered a middle of the road scanner. It says what's cheaper is not as good, what's better is not as cheap. So let's see how it looks. Here it is out of the package. Nice compact size. It's actually smaller than my hand. So let's go ahead and pull this off the end of it, plug it in, turn the ignition on, see how this thing works. It also has a way you can update it online. It's got this USB cord with this mini connector. I think that's considered mini connector. So you can update this thing on their website. One of the things they brag about, which I kind of like, is that it has good emissions testing. We'll see how that works. And it also has live data and freeze frame data. So let me go ahead and plug it in, turn this ignition on, see what it finds out about this V70R. Seems to already have power without the ignition being on. So that port is already giving power. Let's go ahead and turn the ignition on, see what happens from there. Ignition on, car not running. Let me get the stereo off so it don't interfere with us. There it is, got that off. Now, diagnose. Let's hit the OK button. Oh man, the screen is nice and visible. Processing. It's searching for the vehicle protocol. Seemed to have found it already. Nope, still searching. Found the vehicle protocol. DTCs in this ECU is 2. Dang, it already did some kind of stand. Readiness OK 5. Readiness INC 2. Readiness NA 3. Downstream count 17. Wow, that was pretty neat. It scanned the car. I hit down and it went to read codes. Vehicle information, evap system, onboard monitoring. Let's go up to read codes. O2 sensor test. Wow, that's awesome. So let's go up here to read codes. I'm gonna hit OK. I guess this is the back button. Throttle pedal position sensor, circuit A. That's a P0121 code. Volvo did give that code. It don't have a P code in the Volvo system, but it is that. Generic code, same thing. Range performance. Oh, that's the second part of that code. Now here's another code. O2 circuit, no activity detected. Bank 1, sensor 1. So those are the 2 codes in the system. I hit back, it went back to the previous screen. I can erase those. It says OK. Hit OK again. Turn the ignition on with the engine off. Press the key to continue. Press the enter key. I guess OK is the enter key. Processing. It has been cleared. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to start the car, see if the service light's on, and then I'm going to see if this scanner will clear the service light. The car cranked, started for a second, and died, which is common when there's OBD2 scanners plugged into this thing. Let me try to start it again. Yeah, these cars don't like to start with certain scanners plugged into them. Let me unplug the scanner and start the car. Ignition off, scanner unplugged. Let me go ahead and try to start it. Alright, car started up. We got some kind of ABS code. I need to check that. ETM light went out. That'll probably be back with this car hunting like this. Let's scan it, see if we can find the ABS code. I touched the gas, engine smooth right out. Clacking you might have heard is the clutch system in this car. Sometimes that's common for these cars to chatter when the car's in neutral. You can hear it a little bit down there. So I'm going to try to scan for ABS codes, see what it says, because I'm going to have a wheel off. If it's on that wheel, I'm going to check it out for damaged wires or a sensor or whatnot. If you go back to the home screen, you have an option to look up codes. So I'm going to hit OK. P, you go up to change the position. Zero, 1, 21. Hit OK. Generic throttle pedal position circuit. Same thing that the code reader gives you. However, if someone calls you with the code, you may be able to plug this in and look up a code for them. I could not find a place to check my ABS, so I would call this an entry-level scanner reader. I consider some level 2 and some level 3. This is just entry-level scan, check, general codes. It doesn't appear to get into the ABS system. Might be something good to carry around with you just to check and scan codes. Especially good for checking emission stuff and your O2 sensor reading. So let's go see what it'll say about O2 sensor stuff. O2 sensor test. We only got one O2 sensor. Bank 1 sensor 1. Bank 1 sensor 2 is downstream. I'm gonna hit OK. Minimum max, it passed. Okay, that's good. Let's see if there's another test it'll do. It passed that one. Test 82 data. Test 83 data. Passed on that one. I don't know what those values mean, but it's saying that O2 sensor is good. So that's a good thing. Alright, so you can actually test your O2 sensors with this, and you can check your readiness, which is a very important thing for checking before you go to the emissions test, since it was cleared. Some of these things should be incomplete because I cleared these codes. So there you have 5 out of 7. So this car will have to go on the drive cycle to become totally ready. And there's a freeze frame. Vehicle does not support freeze frame, and there should be a live data. That may be data stream. Should tell car temp, all that kind of stuff. Fuel system. It is 8 out of 15 RPMs. Out of 12, 13 out of 15. See if it has vehicle voltage. MAF airflow sensor. That doesn't have a reading there. Spark advance. Throttle position. RPMs. I don't see a voltage. Okay, it has some good information there. Let's exit. Alrighty, there you have it. Nice entry-level little compact scanner. For some reason, this car is running the coolant fan. Usually that's a problem with the ETC. I don't have an error code for it, so I'm not 100% sure. I can just assume that's it. Let's go ahead and get this thing up. Pull the parking brake handle. See if either one of these parking brakes work. I'm pretty sure the right one doesn't. I think I cut that cable. And the car is rolling around like neither one of them works. So let's get it on jacks, see if either one works. Then we'll try to see if either cable works. Hopefully one of these two cable work. If not, I have to get another cable because I only purchased one that I knew was damaged for the passenger side. Pretty hard to pull the parking brake up. Both wheels are off the ground and neither one has any parking brake action. So I'm going to assume there's stuff missing. Let me pop these wheels off, pop these calipers off, knock these rotors off, and see what I got to deal with. Turns out I didn't damage this cable over here. It was missing the clip, I remember, but I did spread that out, disconnected from parts that was in there. And there are things in here for this e-brake. Just no shoes or anything. Well, I come over here, to my surprise, this stuff is gone. Gone. I don't even know if all of this knuckle is here. There's a couple of rusted bolts there that may have held that knuckle at one time. Somebody zip tie the e-brake cable, and that's that there. But I don't know if I have everything I need over here to mount this emergency brake stuff, so off to the salvage yard I go. But I'm gonna see if I could get these bolts out. Maybe I can just get the shield and those parts, but I don't even know if they're supposed to be up. There's another bolt there. Let's see how many other bolts are on the other side. There's one bolt up here, and it looks like 2 bolts down here. Let me check, see what's going on over there. Yikes, man, this is nasty. Nasty. Michigan pure. Alright, yeah, there's 1 bolt there and 2 bolts down there. So it looks like it has everything except the heat shield. A couple of good bolts in those clips. So I'll run to the salvage yard and grab that stuff. If I could get those bolts out. If I can't get those bolts out, I have to bring the whole knuckle. So let me go get some fire. Man, I don't even know if this is in the way of getting that bolt out of there. Let's go check it out. I got a 40 and a 45 here. The 45 is a little loose fitting. I hate to try to pull something rusty out with a 40. The 45 doesn't fit in there. Now I just purchased some of these Allens, metric, 6, 7, 8, 9, yada yada yada. So hopefully I could spot those real quick, and one of those will probably be a perfect fit for that. If I can find the package, I seen it yesterday, so it's around here somewhere. Let me look for that package and see which one fits and heat those up on the other side and try to get them out. Here they are, folks. They go all the way up to a 7, but man, that looks like a long neck on that. I hope it fits in there. Let's check it out. Looks like number 6 is the winner. Barely fits in there. I'll need a cheater on it. However, I'm gonna have to wire brush that thing over there, PB blaster it, and heat it. Let me find the bottle to my map gas and get started over there, see if I get these out. Well, this is just nasty. I can't get the head of the screw in there with all that rust. I'm gonna keep trying for a few minutes. Not gonna waste a whole day on it. I heated the bolt up pretty hot. Now it's cooling off because I can't get the tool in there. And that's 2 more times here. So I think I'm gonna go out to the salvage yard and see what the one that's out there looks like. Looks like the ABS sensor may be hooked up here, but this parking brake cable system definitely jacked up. I'm gonna try to pull parking brake cables out of that car if it's working. So let me try this for a couple more minutes, head down to the junkyard. I could not get the tool in the screw and get it out, but heated it up, grabbed with a pair of vice grips, came right out. Let me see if the other 2 are as pleasant. If so, I'll just grab the heat shield, these 3 screws, and one of the cables off of that other car, because I got a new cable. Man, that looks like that's really pressing up against this little control arm over there. Cable looks like it's pressing up against that little anti-sway bar. Well, it's official. Man, this heat works. I got me a new friend. Let's call him Sam. My map torch. One more bolt out and I'll be off to go get minimal parts. You know, I don't know if I'll be able to get that heat shield out over this bearing. I had a problem with that before, so I might take my cutter, cut the heat shield and get it out from around there. But anyway, let me try to put heat on that last one over there, get that one out. Man, let me tell you something. Sam is bad to the bone. He's a firecracker. You gotta be careful with dealing with Sam, and once you put him on something, you gotta leave it alone for a while because it's hot. But he gets it done. Freaking heat. Let me go down to the salvage yard, get this heat shield I need with these attaching parts so I can put this together, because I doubt my heat shield will work. I'm pretty sure those are 2 totally different parts. I'm gonna compare them and head down to the junkyard. That's a dust shield for a front wheel drive car. This is a dust shield for a rear wheel drive car. I tried to get one of these off of one of these before, was unsuccessful. So I think I'm gonna have to cut it. I'll cut it here, and hopefully bolting it on the rest of the way will still be okay for it to work. But you can't slide these over these hubs. It just doesn't work. So maybe I'll cut a little bit here, see if that'll let it over there, but I don't think so. So let me go ahead down to the salvage yard, get the dust shield for the driver's side rear, and get back here, try to keep this job going. Here I go, folks, on my way to 2 Stacks Jacks. Give me something to eat first. Eat it on the way there, get the Jacks, drop off a couple of packages before I go, and try to get these parts I need. Put this parking brake system back together. Back at 2 Stacks. They got a few cars down in the swamp and jungle. I guess that's where they put the vehicles that they can't find titles to. Anyway, I need to check under the hood of this 850. So I need to get them to come move this 960. So let me call them up, have them move this. And I need to check that parking brake on that one down there. Here it is, folks. I think this is a 99 V70 all-wheel drive. Let me see if this parking brake works. And if so, see if I can dig this stuff from up in here. Look at that cable circling around there. Crap. Can't tell if the wheels are turning or not, because the wheels are already on something. Over there, this side's loose. That one's not turning. Let's see if the parking brake is set. If the parking brake is set, probably good to go. Can anybody see up there? Oh man, look at these mosquitoes. Good Lord. The parking brake is set. That stuff should be working. Glad I put on some mosquito repellent before I came out here. First thing I need to do is climb up in there, release that parking brake, remove that center console, try to unhook those cables. Then I'm gonna come out here, knock these wheels off, knock the rear calipers off, and then I should be able to get some parking brake parts. There it is, folks. You need anything under that 960? That 960 out of the way, boys. Just paid to have these cars moved. Neither one of them got anything I need. This one does not have a VVT intake. And that sensor there is busted. The brake pressure switch on the booster. So, that was a waste of money. Wait a second. Look at this a little bit better here. Put some light on the subject. This manifold does have the variable intake. However, it does not have EGR. I got the center console out. I took the shifter loose. I freed the cables. Now I need to lift this carpet up so I can push the cables through the floor. Oh my, rust. This does not look good. I can move the wheel a little bit now with the cable release. So let me release the cable right there. Get this caliper off, knock this rotor off, and see what I got. This has got to be the tightest 10mm rotor pin I've ever seen in my life. So, glad I got my cutters, because I'm going to cut that thing shorter so my socket will fit on it. Cut off and ready to come out. Man, that cutter is not really fun. Long neck on that thing. Somehow this pad wasn't under that clip there. The other one was, so I just took the spring off. And I'm going for this dust shield and these bolts here. These mosquitoes are fighting for my life. Hey, this thing's got rear mud flaps. But I don't need to get distracted. I need to get out of here before they close, and I don't have what I need. So let me get this dog leg out of here. Don't want to come out past this rotor, this hub. These hubs are tough to get stuff past. Let me try to pry that out of there with a screwdriver. With this pulled out, this pin comes right out. Now I can push the cable back in and hopefully get this loose. Let me see what else is holding this cable. I hope I brought that tool. Yeesh. I don't see anything in particular holding the cable in, but it's routed over that thing there. Maybe that is some kind of pin holding this thing in here. Oh man, I'm gonna have to get that out. I don't even think I brought tools for that. Didn't understand. Dang it. Without this hub off, I don't see a way to get this heat shield off. So I'm gonna cut it right there and take it off of here and walk away after I get this cable out. I'm almost done. I got a 10mm bolt out of the cable over there. My time is up with 5 minutes to spare. Had to rip that out of there because I couldn't lower it. This cable is broken, but it works. So I'm gonna take it. I don't know if this one would be better. Let me pop this wheel off, see if I can get this. Nah, I'm not gonna take that time. I gotta get out of here. Time's up. Time's a wasting. Oh my goodness. I just curved my wheel. I don't think I've ever done it so bad. Oh God, that is ugly. Man, I don't know if I should be putting propices on anything I drive. Man, look at that. That's horrible. Halfway around the wheel, doing the U-turn. Ugly. In this video, I'm doing a remix of the parking handbrake repair replacement on a P80 car. This one in particular is all-wheel drive. The main difference in the all-wheel drive and the front-wheel drive is the dust shield on the rear knuckle assembly is different. So the parking brake parts mount a little different, and if you have a dust shield missing, you got a bigger problem with an all-wheel drive car than a front-wheel drive car. An important thing you need to know and understand when dealing with the parking handbrake rebuild is you need to do a, I guess, reconnaissance mission and see what you got to deal with. Because if what you have to deal with is a gutted out system, you may need more parts than you expect. And in this case, I had to run to the junkyard and find an all-wheel drive P80 car and take parts off of that, hoping and praying that it wasn't gutted out and damaged as well. When I went to do this side of this vehicle, I came to this side first because I hadn't seen this side. The only thing that was here behind this hub was the bolts that hold the dust shield on. The dust shield was totally gone. There's no clips or brackets to mount your brake parts on. It's a useless situation without those parts. And it was rusted in here, and the heads of the bolts was full of rust. Really couldn't get the bolts out. So here is pieces of the dust shield, and here are the bolts that I got out. The only reason I got them out is because I had a torch. I heated that thing up with a MAP torch really hot, put vice grips on them, broke them loose, got them out. 3 of them. Again, nothing to mount the brakes to, so I had to go get that stuff. I do have a new brake cable that I ordered, and as you can see, this one here was totally destroyed and cut off and gutted out and zip tied to the trailing arm on the back of this suspension. So this needed a total rebuild replacement on this side. All the parts were missing. Both of the cables on this braking system were destroyed, locked up. This one's even missing the pin, which may be a problem. I don't know if I kept that pin from when I took this stuff apart a few days ago. I might have that stuff here. I don't know. might be going to look for a pin. At any rate, this clip was missing from this cable. This cable is seized. When you pull the handle, nothing happens. It doesn't move at all. There it is there. Let me go pull the handle. As you can see, the cable is in the same spot, whether the handle's pulled or not. Real hard to pull the handle. It only moves a little bit. Cables are seized up, so they need to be replaced. Also, on the all-wheel drive cars, this rear suspension back here has a bolt or two in it that's holding a large bracket that's pinching the cable in position there. So you're going to need a couple more tools to get this one loose versus the front-wheel drive cars. On both cars, you have to take out the center console. I normally release the parking brake handle and take the 3 mounting bolts that mount the parking brake to the floor of the car, the parking brake handle. That's the easiest way to get the cables loose. Then you got to take out the rear seats. You have to take out the carpet in the back, or at least lift it up and out of your way so that you can get these cables in and out to replace them. If you have a standard shift car, manual transmission, you definitely need to have working parking brakes. It's just too much of a hazard not to. First thing you want to do is park the vehicle on a near level spot. Block the front wheels so the car won't roll. Jack the car up after you break the lug nuts loose. Put the car on jack stands forward of the rear tire, clear of the parking brake cables. Take the wheel off, take the caliper off, take the rotor off, and inspect and see what you're going to need to get your parking brake situation squared away. Here's the dust shield on a front wheel drive car. You do have to take the wheel hub off to get this off. However, the wheel hub is not pressed into the knuckle assembly. So you just knock the bolt off, you slide the wheel hub off, and then you slide the dust shield off after you take the few bolts. 2 bolts here, 2 bolts here. I think they're 12mm bolts. Get the dust shield off. On the all-wheel drive cars, I think you need a press to get the wheel hub off. I think they're pressed out and pressed in. You might get them out with a puller. I don't know if you can get them back in with a puller. And if you use a puller, you might get them off with a puller, but they may come apart. So you likely will need a press to get them out and a press to get them back in without damaging them. And this shield will not come over there without getting that hub off. So I got this one out of the salvage yard. I cut it. Now, when I bolt this back in, it may stay in. I'm thinking about tapping a couple of screws in there, or 1 screw in there, and screwing that down so that it don't vibrate. And I may also put epoxy on there. So this is the shield that goes against the knuckle that the hardware for the parking brake attaches to. Next thing I'm gonna do is pull this clip that holds the parking brake cable in, and I'm gonna pull the parking brake cable out. Looks like it needs to be sprayed down with some PB Blaster. Then I'm gonna push the parking brake cable in there, thread it the way it's supposed to be, and attach the hardware to it, what I call the dog leg. Over here, there's a 10mm bolt that holds that parking brake cable down to the rear suspension. So I got to pull that 10mm bolt and route the cable around here. Looks like I need to disconnect the zip ties on here so that I can get the parking brake cable loose. I did not know that both of these cables were seized. I purchased a new one because I knew this one over here was damaged and possibly seized. So I only have one new one. So I pulled one out of the vehicle that I got the dust shield off of. The cable does work. However, it's broken right here. The sleeve is. So I'm going to clean this off, push this back in here, and epoxy it around here so that maybe this will cling to that with the epoxy, and install this. This was pinched under the suspension of the car. I had to tear that out of there, so that's kind of a mess too. So I may be replacing this cable in short order, but for now I'm going to clean this up, push this in, put some epoxy on the outside of it. This foam weather stripping comes around here like this. Now I'm going to put the heat shield in place and put the bolts in it that I have. The dust shield is on. The 6mm are tight. I use this. Got it in there behind there. It's pretty tight. If you need to use vice grips to screw them in by hand per se, then get this in there and just tighten them down. It's a dust shield. It don't need to be torqued too tight. So now I'm gonna put some epoxy there. Try to keep this in. I bent this side in before I tightened this down. So I might have should have bent this side in too. So I'm gonna try to do that. Put some epoxy on that, and then put some epoxy on that cable I broke. I got the last of my quick weld epoxy mixed up. Got that little stick from Ariel yesterday after she got finished eating her popsicle. So as soon as that starts setting up, I'm gonna spread it around here as best I can, and then I'm gonna go put some on that heat shield. That epoxy is getting firm, so I'm gonna leave that there. And I got some epoxy welding that back together. I'm gonna leave that there. Next, I'm gonna go inside and remove this center console, give that epoxy time to set up, and I'm gonna remove the cables, and then I'm gonna put the cable in on the other side. Remove all your personal items from the back seat area. Lift up the back seat. Release the clips locking the back seat. Sit down and then lift the seat up and out of the car. Do that to the other side as well. Once you have all your personal items and seats removed, it's a good time to give this carpet any kind of detailing you want. Just vacuum everything up or actually clean the carpets. Next, I'm going to remove the center console. So I have to take everything out of the armrest, take up the coin holder, take that trim piece up from there, and remove the center console. Cleaned out the armrest, opened it up. Someone has destroyed the cup inside the armrest. I guess they couldn't get these two 8mm screws out, so they just pulled it up until they broke it. Man, that's hard to do. Next, you pull this trim this way, unclip it. This one's all busted up. Pull this over top of the parking brake handle with this out. Then you unplug those two plugs there. After those are unplugged, you come up here. In this case, put some gloves on. Remove this coin holder. You grab the front of it, lift it up. It unplugs, then pull it toward the front of the car. It comes out. Then you grab this, pull this up. Then you reach down there and unplug the two heated seat switches. It's best to hold the white part of the switches and then pull the white part of the plug to unplug them, because if you just start pulling on those plugs, you can actually pull these switches apart. So you don't want to damage your switches. Set that down out of the way. Now you have two screws. Both of them are T25s. Unscrew both of those screws. Try not to drop them down into the center console area. After those screws are removed, if you have an automatic, this center console will lift up and over that. If you have a manual, you have to reach under here and unclip this boot from the center console area and fish that down in there. Now lift the center console up over that. Try not to snag and damage the boot. Center console is out. Again, this is a good opportunity to do some cleaning. Next, I'm going to take these three 12mm screws out to release the parking brake handle from the floor of the car. That way it'll be easy to get these cables out of these connections here. Put a T50 in there, loosen that all the way, then you'll have all the slack in your cables that you need. then you'll be able to work those out. Look, they just fell out. Put these 3 screws back in the hole or somewhere where you won't lose them, as well as these 8mm. Common issue with these center consoles is the veneer pulling up off the center console trim piece. This piece here broken off on the back of the armrest. People do that by opening the armrest too far back and letting this fall back or pushing it back. And on this one, somebody busted out the cup that secures it. So you could replace that by taking these T25s out, sliding that out. You can replace that cup. You can replace this whole piece here if you want to fix the back of your armrest, if you find one in the salvage yard that's good. And you can remove this veneer piece from this center piece with these T25s too. So all of this stuff could be fixed if you want to fix it, replace it, and refresh this stuff while you're in here. Same for this piece here. It's very common to have tabs broken off of it and this being broke up top from somebody abusing it somehow, as well as the piece here that has your drive, park, and all that stuff. That trim piece is busted off, and you can replace that. And this is a good time to replace that light bulb in there in the event that that light bulb's burned out, the gear selector light bulb. Next, I'm going to lift the carpet up from under this trim here. If you want, you can pull that screw out to take this trim off, get it out of the way. You can pull the carpet from up under it. I'm going to go ahead and do that. You take this, pull this forward, lift it up. Now you have access to that screw there. Do that on both sides. Take that trim out so I don't break it. Then pull the carpet up in the air so I can slide the cables out under it. There's a couple of anchors for the cables under the carpet. It appears that someone has cut out the soundproofing boarding that Volvo installed and installed some of their own soundproofing. They also deleted the studs that hold your parking brake cables. There's 2 of them here. One of them's gone, this one's gone, this one's rusted over. So I don't know how these cables are supposed to be held in place. Here's the other stud. The studs are there. I'm going to cut out some of this soundproofing around here so that I can put these back in. I did pull those from the junkyard. So this folds up and out of your way. Now you can push the cable grommet through the floor and pull the cable down through there. It'll come from there and down through here, but you got to release the plastic clips that hold the cables to the floor before you can do that. Let me get 2 hands. The cable end is hanging up there for some reason. Let me get that loose. And that's how the cable is routed through this bracket, and you got to pull it down under the floor here and push it through that hole. I see daylight through this hole, so for some reason when somebody was messing with this soundproofing, they dislodged this gasket and opened that up to elements. For some reason the other side of the car has 2 cable securing posts and this one only has 1. That's how it was on the other car as well, so that's what that looks like. You gotta get the cable up out of there. That holds the cable in position. Once you have the cable pushed out of the floor, you have this clip here. You got to pull this out with a pair of pliers. You have a 10mm bolt over there that holds the cable. You can see the cable broken through there. That's what I epoxied on this other use when I pulled. And then you have this suspension part holding the cable there. It's got a little strap up here holding this. So I would recommend, it's supposed to have a little strap that holds it and pins it in there. I would recommend taking this loose if you don't have the car supported on it to get this cable out of here. Other than that, you're going to pull real hard and may damage the cable getting it from under here. Take this bolt loose right here. Couple turns on that one, and this may be loose enough to get this out of here. If not, you'll have to hit this 18 too. So maybe these These two for sure, and maybe this 18 as well. These should be 17. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.